What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you a new manga first impressions of a series that just came out today in Weekly Shonen Jump, titled The Promised Neverlands. Now, the first chapter just came out, and I just finished reading it, and I kind of know that this series has been getting a slow, gradual build-up of hype, like the fan base is slowly building up, because it's been announced, I think, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that there was going to be a new series coming out in Weekly Shonen Jump, and then this title popped up, The Promised Neverlands, and I've been seeing many Chibits for the past couple weeks, like, telling me, Chibi, you need to do a first impressions on this series when it comes out, and it finally came out, and it's translated, and so here I am to bring you all my overall thoughts and impressions of the first chapter. Now, the first chapter, as always, when it comes to Weekly Shonen Jump or any series that starts, the chapter is a lot longer than a normal chapter. It's around like 55 pages long compared to the standard 19 to 20 pages you'd see in Weekly Shonen Jump. So it is kind of like 2 to 3 chapters into one, chapter. And there's a lot of content, and majority of the chapter is kind of the presentation of what to expect from the series, which is a good thing, because that's what you should do with the first chapter to get the readers interested in to see if they want to continue on reading and support the series. Now, instantly, I'm going to say that this series, it is so different compared to everything else that's currently going on in Weekly Shonen Jump, because the overall atmosphere of the series, it has a very dark and twisted turn towards the end of it, and it's something, to be honest, I don't believe it might work in Weekly Shonen Jump. I could see Shonen Jump either censoring the fuck out of this series to where it's not what the actual mangaka wants to do, or it's going to be toned down a lot, or you're going to have it to where it's going to get axed. One or the other is probably going to happen, because of the content at the end of the chapter, that alone, that's some very graphic stuff you would normally see in a seinen manga, especially with where the story is trying to go. And so I'm kind of curious exactly to see how this series is going to be handled in Weekly Shonen Jump. Weekly Shonen Jump follows these set rules when it comes to mature audiences, because as you know, Shonen Jump is kind of like for, teens and young kids. So when you look at it like that, I'm kind of worried that this series, The Promised Neverlands, is going to get censored, because it has a very dark introduction, completely different from the vast variety of different shonen that's currently ongoing in the magazine. So what is it about? Like, what is the series about? Why am I saying it's dark? Why do I think this series is completely different from whatever else is going on in Shonen Jump? Well, for one, the series starts off in an orphanage, and that's kind of a stereotypical thing. You see children, young age, they're in an orphanage, their parents abandoned them, and if we've, learned anything when it comes to shonen or any manga series and stuff, usually the parents are kind of out of the picture, and as, Togashi and Ishida said, parents are in the way. Sometimes they can stop the story, so instantly we see how parents are just completely cut out of the picture, out of the equation when it comes to the beginning of this series, The Promised Neverlands. But that isn't a bad thing. The overall introduction is something you would normally see from, like, an orphanage setting, children growing up in an orphanage. You have this child that's been growing up for all their life, and then, they're the oldest child, and then you have, friends they made, they're like brothers and sisters with each other. It's a very stereotypical type beginning. But as the chapter carries on, there's some things that are rather off about the characters. And for one, you see these barcodes on their neck, and I'm like, what is this, like, number shit going on their neck? Like, it was instantly, you could see it at the beginning of the chapter, and I'm like, okay, so something's really weird. And as the chapter carried on, as before I finished it, you see these numbers popping up on every single character, different numbers, and I'm like, okay, so they got numbers on them. Like, well, what's that for? It's like some form of barcode or serial number, so I'm like, what's going on there? And, everything seemed completely fine. It was ordinary. It was an ordinary orphanage. Everything seemed fine. They were growing up together. It seemed like, the children were happy. They were getting to eat. I mean, everything seemed like a happy, nice family. They played tag, hide and seek, and it just seemed like everything was normal. And we found out a couple of things that, you have towards some of the children, when they get 12 years old, when they turn 12, they get adopted, or they disappear from the orphanage, they get moved out, and then they never come back, or never contact anyone. That was a thing that was a little bit off about the entire thing. I'm like, okay, something's going on there. And then, as it continued on, you saw this little room. You saw this room to where the children were sitting at desks doing educational type things, and that's kind of common sense. Children need to have their education. But the way the education was done, it was something that you would not see normally in an orphanage or in a school or anything. It was just straight up fucking weird, because the children, they were having to do some of these very complicated problems and tests for their age, at age 11 and younger. They were having to do all these complicated problems and also do them in the span of like 10 seconds. And that is absolutely crazy how fast they had to go with some of these questions, because there's like 50 something questions, having, you know, to take these questions every 10 seconds. I'm like, that's unreal. That's absolutely unreal. And that instantly kind of threw me off. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. Something's very shady. I mean, the way all the kids act, the way the faces were drawn, the way they were just looking to Sparrow, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And after that, everything once again returned to being normal. They were playing hide and seek, and we found out, you know, kind of how our main characters are, our three main characters. We found out that we have two male characters and one female character, and one is very athletic and can learn quite quickly. One is a brains, like he's the brains of the operation, he's very smart, and then you have the other one that is also the one that can keep up with the very smart one, and he's kind of like a tactician as well. And I do like, you know, these different characters that were introduced, because it's not the standard shonen main character you would see introduced, or shonen characters you would see introduced, because normally when you see a shonen main character introduced, they're always about the bronze beating the fucking shit out of someone. And I'm not saying that all shonen are like that. I mean, recently there has been a rise of shonen characters being more intelligent than they were in the past. I mean, look at Boku no Hero Academia with Izuku. I mean, there's a lot of characters that have been starting to get introduced in Weekly Shonen Jump that are kind of breaking the mold from the traditional beating the shit out of each other type mentality. I mean, even look at World Trigger. World Trigger is also kind of similar to, you know, Boku no Hero Academia when it comes to an intelligent main character. So I'm really liking this, like, new direction that Weekly Shonen Jump has been going on, especially with characters being intelligent. They're not always about beating the crap out of each other. They use their mind to overcome problems, and that's clearly what type of characters we have right now in this series. So, besides that, getting into the darker themes of it, and I'm going to instantly say, if you have yet to read this chapter, I really do recommend go read the chapter before you continue on with this video. Even if you don't come back, just go read it, because I don't want to spoil this final part to you. It's something that, you know, you kind of know was going to happen, but I don't want to spoil it for you if you have yet to read the chapter. So go read it. Go read the chapter. But anyways, I want to continue on in 3, 2, 1, start. Okay. So the ending part of the chapter, we get the introduction of the main conflict of the series. We found out that where the orphanage is, like, you know, there's a gate, there's a perimeter completely around, and the children, they cannot leave the gate, they cannot leave that area, and everything seems a little bit off about this. At first glance, when I was looking, I thought, okay, is this something similar to Attack on Titan or something, like there's a wall, can't go past it because it's dangerous out there, or you're gonna fucking die. That's what I thought was going on, and I've seen that quite a bit in Shonen and in other series, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not liking that at all. And as it continued, we see that the entirety of the orphanage is a farm. It is a farm. The children are cattle. The tags on their neck with the numbers, it's like serial numbers, like tag numbers you would see on cattle or livestock. And when you found this out, you're like, holy shit. So these children are being raised to be used as meat. They're farm animals, pretty much. And they're being sold off to these despicable-looking monsters that want to eat them. Apparently to the rich. And they're a high-class ingredient because of the way they're being raised. And it completely shocked me with the direction that the ending part of the chapter went, because I'm like, yo, this is pretty fucking dark for Weekly Shonen Jump. I mean, Shonen Jump usually doesn't do something that dark, and so I'm quite surprised to see why they let that. I mean, I like this. I do like this. I like the direction it went. I don't know if it's going to be able to survive 10 weeks, because depending on the readers in Japan, if they support it or not, it could continue ongoing or not. So the main thing is that apparently when the children hit the age of 12, they get shipped off through, you know, the gate. And when you go out there, it's pretty much you're being offered up as livestock. You're getting chopped up into meat and shit, and you're getting sold off to a rich person to be devoured on. And it's really fucked up when you think about it. And then there's a little hints that apparently that only the rich can get these type of, you know, meat, this type of children meat, because of, I'm assuming their intelligence. Because of their high intelligence, it makes them, you know, I guess more of a delicacy, like their brain tastes better or something. Because they were pointing out how the three main characters, how they score perfect scores on the test, and like, I want these three, these are pretty damn good. And I'm assuming it's because of, since they're so intelligent, it probably makes their brain or something taste better, and that's why they wanted to eat them. That's what I'm assuming. So overall, the first chapter of The Promised Neverland, It's a good first chapter. It's a very solid start. It's nothing completely original. It's like a stereotypical utopia type setting, but it depends on where it goes after this. I do like it so far. I do like the art style as well, and, you know, I didn't do much research into the mangaka that is writing this series. Like, I have no idea where this mangaka came from. I don't know if it's, you know, I've read a previous work from this writer or not, but I will say the artwork of this series looks very familiar for some reason. I don't know if I've read a manga or some form of series from this writer before, but the artwork looks very, very similar to something. I can't place my mind on it, but it looks similar to something, and I just can't remember it. If anyone knows, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So yeah, you all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.